Hey, there's your Wisconsin Wine Guy. Welcome back to another wine review. For those who are new, these are wines that you find wherever you shop, whether it be a grocery store, liquor store, or even some wine shops. These wines will be found on those shelves for the most part. These are like all those brands that you see, different brands, new wines, the hit wine of the month. If it came down to a wine rating, well, your Wisconsin Wine Guy does a review of those wines and give you my personal opinion, what I think about those wines, utilizing my infamous thumb rating system. Thumbs up means I recommend that wine. 3/4 says, I rocked it, I tasted it, I loved it, we were hanging, you know what, and I recommend it to you. Halfway says, wow, there was something about that wine that wasn't working for me, for my palate, and I'll tell you what that was. And thumbs down, that's always the easy one to get the wine out of here. So you can see the wine that we have here, a little bit of the wine. It's going to be a red wine we're doing today. The wine is going to be called Silk and Spice. Silk and Spice 2019. This is a wine from Portugal, so a Portuguese wines. It's time to start, thinking about, or I should say, thinking outside the wine box. Start exploring other areas. Like Spain, Portugal, Chile, Argentina, some of these places. I had some wines from Brazil once, which were pretty good, but again, we get caught in this box of drinking certain wines from certain regions or specific regions, but we miss out on a whole slew of wines. And in addition to that, learning about some different and unique grapes, which I discovered a grape I never even heard of in this particular wine. So on the bottle it doesn't say what the grapes are, but I did some research, on the wine and found those grapes, so sometimes you have to dig, real deep to find out the grapes for a particular wine. So again, this is going to be 2019. Alcohol is 13.5%, and this was priced at $9.50. So let's get to the grapes. Your grapes are going to be Touriga, Nacional, a indigenous grape grown in Portugal, and also that grape is used, I believe, in making some of the port wines. Baga, B-A-G-A. Never heard of that red grape before, but that's a grape that's primarily indigenous to the Portugal wine growing areas. So Baga, I'm going to be interesting to find out more about that. If there's some wines, more wines made with that grape. But as I tell, it's a wine that creates, tannic, acidic type wine, so that could be interesting. Alicante Bouchet, French grape. Well, who hasn't heard of that? Well, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but there you go. And also, 20% is going to be the Syrah. And this receives 6 months in American oak. Let's give it a pour. Let's give it a taste. Haley's Corker. Those. If you look at that wine, there's some wine missing. I like to sometimes give my wine an opportunity to breathe after being stuck in a bottle, for who knows how long. We can assume since 2019, right? So now, do you look at that color? So here's what I'm tasting for. If you ever had port wines, or we had just wines from Portugal that has none of the other varietals in it, like the typical varietals like Cabernet, Merlot. It has a distinctive taste to it, so I want to taste for that. But then you have that little bit of Syrah. So that Syrah, I'm thinking, is going to get a little bit more, kind of like subtle spice, more like fruit, depths of fruit character to it. And everything else just kind of balances it out and brings it all together. And then, of course, we have the 6 months in American oak, which is going to round it out for us. It may give us maybe little hints, of a subtle richness or creaminess to the wine. But let's give it a try and see. So the nose. But look at that color. And I got my sheet here. A lot of these grapes are going to do, bring some nice deep, coloring to the wine. Like purple, ruby colors to the wine. But also, that Syrah is going to play I think is going to play a really good part in that coloring. That's a beautiful color on this wine here. On the nose, it definitely lives up to its name, spice. That part. It lives up to the second part of the name, being spice. You definitely get the spices. You get the little cedar notes. For me, white pepper blended in with a bunch of berries, like a bunch of berries, So you have, of course, blackberries and dark berries in here. And then I'm going to go with a little bit of currant. A little bit of dried currant. Wow. I haven't used that, term in quite some time, but I get a little bit of that here. So again, now you get that subtle cedar nose in the background coming through, blended with the fruit. You know, so the nose is, you know, very nicely blended, I find. You know, nice fruity nose. Now for the rinse, what am I tasting for when I rinse? Acidity. That's right. You know, I myself, you have different sides of the spectrum. Some people like a little acidity, some people like a lot, some people like none at all. I myself, when it comes to a red wine, just like white, I want to know that there's some liveliness to the wine. So here we go with the rinse. Wow. See, if I'm talking and I'm swallowing, you know the acidity was good. I like the acidity here, and I want to get a nice feel for the wine. You notice I rinse throughout my entire mouth. I want to get a nice feel for the wine when I do that, and also get a feel for those tannins. All right. So tannins on here are going to be like, you know, soft medium. They're not going to be killer tannins, but it adds a nice structure to it. You know, acidity is very nice. Makes my mouth water. You know, a decent finish to the wine for sure. Now for the taste, and then we give it the grade. Okay, now when considering, you know, those grapes, you know, those Portuguese grapes, indigenous grapes, you know, you do get, I myself get a little bit of that ruby port taste to it, but then that Syrah comes in and just brings it all together, makes it a lot more supple and fruity. We definitely get those notes or the taste of ruby port, subtle spice, nice berries, nice balance. Definitely be a good food wine, smooth finish for sure. You know, I mean, wow, that's pretty nice. You know, for Portuguese wines, I mean, a lot of good value, you know, in Portuguese wines. So let's get to it. Let me pour a little bit more. Let you know how I'm going to rate this. How would you rate this? So if you've tried this before, I would love to hear down in the comments what you thought about it. But here's my opinion right here. All right, your Wisconsin wine guy. Ooh, a little bit of plum. Is going to give the 2019 Silken Spice Red Blend from Portugal. I'm going to give that a thumbs up. I'm giving it a thumbs up, you know, because I'm digging this wine. I think it's a really good everyday drinking wine. You won't be disappointed. I mean, good price to value, I would say this. You know, and also something different, something new. You know, explore the world of Portugal. So there you have it. Wisconsin Wine Guy gives the Silken Spice 2019 a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time when reviewing wines that you find in your stores. And as always, let your palate be the guide when selecting your wine. Ciao!